From being coined as the most violent man in the sport by Joe Rogan, to undefeated legend Khabib Nurmagomedov calling him his hardest hitter, this is why pro fighters are so terrified of Justin Gaethje. Justin quickly became known as the most violent man in the most violent sport in the world. Those words came out of Joe Rogan's mouth after Gaethje knocked out Edson Barboza at UFC on ESPN2. The fight started, and as everyone expected, both fighters started throwing bone-crushing leg kicks and engaged in some serious clinching and stand-up action. This strategy would have been suicidal for most fighters since it's not very durable. But Justin, he's one of the meanest leg kickers in the game, so it works perfectly for him. He'd already scored 3 TKOs with his leg kicks by the time he stepped into the ring with Barboza. Once he got to work on Edson's lead leg, things went from bad to worse for his rival. Edson loves to unleash his monstrous kicks when his opponents keep their distance. But Justin's a pressure fighter who doesn't mind taking a few hits, and he closed the distance on Edson, making sure he didn't stand a chance. In a desperate attempt to escape, Barboza found himself right in the path of Gaethje's vicious right hand. And just like that, the fight was over. Rogan's seen a lot of fighters call themselves the most violent, but Justin's performance stuck with him the most, and his showdown against Tony Ferguson only confirmed that reputation. Before facing Ferguson, Justin had already demolished James Vick, Edson Barboza, and Donald Cerrone, all with first-round knockouts. But the Ferguson fight, that was something entirely different. In fact, fans call it Justin's best performance to date. In the fight, Gaethje came out swinging right from the get-go. He was throwing punches with the intention of destroying Tony and started demolishing his base with brutal kicks that hit hard, and followed it up with some hooks that were landing flush on Tony. By the second round, Ferguson had a swollen eye while Justin didn't let up one bit. He kept landing shot after shot, and even though Tony managed to drop Justin with an uppercut right before the round ended, it wasn't enough to turn the tide. Normally, Gaethje would start running out of gas by the third round, but not this time. He had some serious cardio going on, and he matched Tony's pace without breaking a sweat. By the fourth round, you could tell that the only way Tony could win was if he landed some kind of miracle knockout or submission. When the fifth round rolled in, his face looked like an absolute mess. The ref had seen enough punishment and decided to wave off the fight, and Justin was declared the winner. He was terrifying in that cage. Gaethje isn't your flashy fancy fighter, pulling off spinning heel kick knockouts, or showing off some fancy technical moves to get that one viral moment. Justin's all about getting down and dirty, embracing the pain of a fight, and making the sacrifices he needs to get that win. There's something real about Gaethje's performances that resonates with MMA fans. He has this burning desire deep within him, an unstoppable urge to face any challenge head-on and keep coming back for more. He has this kill or be killed philosophy, which shows you just how intense this guy is. Before he was heading into that fight against Khabib, Justin said he's going to see Khabib's blood and wants him to see his own blood too. It's not just about beating big names or getting shiny belts for Justin. It's about that physical challenge, that confrontation, and the sheer thrill of going toe-to-toe with another warrior. The pain of the fight is what he thrives on. You can tell since he's the only fighter in UFC history who snagged a Performance of the Night or Fight of the Night bonus for every single one of his first 7 fights in the promotion. That's some serious dedication right there. But here's the kicker. Gaethje's style, as electrifying as it is, comes with a price. No fighter on this planet loves absorbing punishment quite like him, and the guy will take blow after blow but keep marching forward. Just look at his fights against Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez. Those defeats were some of the most exciting fights for Gaethje. His stamina made his top-notch opponents give their all, and they had to dig deep and push themselves to the maximum to have a chance at taking him down. But this strategy's scary because Justin can't keep this up forever. He knows he can't keep taking hits like that for a chance to hit harder. But for now, he's causing absolute mayhem in that octagon. The fear in his rivals' eyes when they step into the ring with Gaethje is real. You might think that the most violent guy in the UFC would have a striking background, but Justin's a converted wrestler who found his true passion in knocking people's lights out. Let's look at the numbers. Before UFC 254, Gaethje had 22 wins under his belt. 86% of those came by knockout or technical knockout. He's sending his opponents crashing to the canvas left and right. Not only that, but he lands an average of 7.74 significant strikes per minute, while taking in 8.37 strikes himself. He actually takes more hits than he dishes out. But what really sets him apart is that he can keep coming. He's not afraid to take punishment, and it's like he feeds off the pain. Let's break down his fighting style, shall we? He's all about those leg kicks. I'm talking about painful strikes that land on his opponent's head 60% of the time. 31% is all about chopping those legs down, and he goes for the body only 9% of the time. He eats away at his opponent's base by destroying their foundation, and that's exactly what he did in his fight against Ferguson. Those calves could only take so much punishment before they gave out. Once Gaethje has his opponent on wobbly legs, it's game over. But as impressive as his fight against Ferguson was, his UFC debut against Michael Johnson was on a whole other level. Right from the get-go, Justin was all over Johnson like a hurricane. He unleashed those dangerous leg kicks, finding their mark and causing serious damage. He then went on to pound Johnson's body with thunderous shots. Just when you thought he was done, he surprised everyone by going for the knockout blow on top. With less than 30 seconds left in the first round, Johnson connected with a massive right hand that rocked Gaethje to his core, and he wobbled backward. But did he back down? No way. He survived the round as if it were no big deal. In the next, he dug deep and unleashed a massive uppercut that caught Johnson's attention. The poor guy was exhausted, and Justin sensed it, so he went all out, pinning Johnson against the fence and sent out a barrage of shots that brought the fight to an end. It was like a storm of fury, and what impressed everyone was his fighting spirit. He showed off his insane stamina and unmatched durability throughout the fight. He turned the tables, and if you still don't believe me, take it from undefeated legend Nurmagomedov himself. When Khabib stepped into the octagon with Justin, the Eagle won the fight in the second round with a technical submission. But it wasn't easy for the Eagle. He spilled the beans, saying Gaethje's powerful punching and kicking strength messed with his game plan big time. He said Justin hits like a truck, and that no one had ever hit him harder than Justin. That includes Khabib's long list of powerful opponents, like Conor McGregor and Gleison Tibau. Justin outdid all of them in terms of power, and Khabib even talked about how Justin unleashed a barrage of power-packed punches and kicks. Left hooks, right uppercuts, you name it. Khabib knew Justin was no slouch when it came to wrestling. Justin wouldn't allow him to unleash his wrestling prowess from the get-go, and Khabib saw it coming a mile away. If a seasoned fighter like Khabib admits that Justin's punches hit him like a freight train, you can bet that any other fighter would be scared out of their minds to face him. When Michael Chandler found out he was going up against Justin for UFC 268, he was terrified. It made him jump out of bed earlier in the morning, train a little harder, and be more focused during his pre-fight prep. All because Gaethje's presence in the octagon is just that scary. So from Khabib Nurmagomedov calling him his hardest hitter, to being coined as the most violent man in the sport by Joe Rogan. That was why pro fighters are so terrified of Justin Gaethje.